Good morning, students. Today, let me introduce you to Mary Wollstonecraft. She was an English writer, moral and political philosopher, and passionate advocate of women's rights. And she is better known as the mother of British feminism. Until the late 20th century, most ironically, it was her unconventional life that drew disproportionate attention than her remarkable intellectual achievements. She had many uncustomary personal relationships which shocked the moral notions of the time. However, today she is regarded as one of the founding feminist philosophers, and present day feminists often cite both her life and her works as important influences in the development of present day feminism. Mary Wollstonecraft authored several novels, treatises, reviews, translations, pamphlets, a travelogue, a history of the French Revolution, a conduct book, and a children's book. But she is best remembered for her 1792 work, A Vindication of the Rights of Women, which argues that the educational system deliberately trained women to be frivolous and incapable, and if girls were allowed the same advantages as boys, women would be not only exceptional wives and mothers, but also excellent educators, professionals, and citizens. The book is notable also for the proto feminist realization that woman is a social construct. It's also renowned for the strong advocacy for women's suffrage. We can also say that feminism as theory begins with Mary Wollstonecraft. She was one of the first thinkers to propose that gender roles are not natural but social. The love of finery, that is, jewelry and fashion, romance, or beauty in women are not natural. Instead, women are socialized and trained to believe that these are what make them truly feminine. That is, the characteristics one associate with the feminine in women are socially given values, and women internalize these values so that they fit into the category of the feminine. Other important works are Thoughts on the Education of Daughters with Reflections on Female Conduct in the More Important Duties of Life, 1787, Mary a Fiction, 1788, The Female Reader or Miscellaneous Pieces, 1789, A Vindication of the Rights of Men, 1790, An Historical and Moral View of the French Revolution, 1794, Letters written during a short residence in Sweden, Norway, and Denmark, 1796, The Wrongs of Woman or Maria, 1798, The Cave of Fancy, Posthumous Works, 1798. Now let's have a look into the biographical details of Mary Wollstonecraft. She was born on April 27, 1759 in Spitalfields, London. She was the second of the 7 children of Elizabeth Dixon and Edward John Wollstonecraft. Though the family had a comfortable income, her father gradually squandered the family money and even Mary's rightful inheritance. Soon the family became bankrupt and the father turned out to be an extremely abusive alcoholic. He frequently beat his wife in drunken rages, and Mary had to lie outside her mother's door to protect her. And she was very protective towards her little sisters, Evelina and Eliza. In 1784, she persuaded Eliza, who might have been suffering from a postpartum depression, to leave her husband and infant and run away. And Mary made all the arrangements for the flight. Even though it was an unorthodox move, her sister had to suffer social condemnation and extreme penury and hard work for the rest of her life because she could not remarry. Anyway, Mary had a different plight. Fortunately for her, she had 2 beneficial friendships in her early life. One was Jane Austen, whose intellectual familial circumstances helped shape Mary's literary aptitude. The second was Fanny Frances Blood, whose company Wollstonecraft says had opened her mind. Unfortunately, Blood had a premature death due to ill health and pregnancy. And Blood's life and death might have actually inspired Wollstonecraft to write her first novel, Mary, a Fiction, which appeared in 1788. Another crucial figure who changed her life was a moral and political thinker, the Reverend Richard Price, head of Newington's thriving dissenting community. It was through the connections of the members of this community that she got introduced to her future publisher, friend, and patron, Joseph Johnson. Later, she was to rise to the defense of Richard Price in a vindication of the rights of men, which appeared in 1790. And she had also started a school, but it only brought her endless headaches and financial drain. And for a brief period, she served as a governess to the daughter of an Anglo Irish Kingsborough family in Ireland. She turned out to be an inspiring and rational instructor, and these experiences were reflected in her early children's book, Original Stories from Real Life, which appeared in 1788. When Joseph Johnson launched the Analytical Review in 1788, Mary became a regular contributor. Her decision to embark upon a career as an author was a radical choice because in those days very few women turned out to be successful authors. Yet, she was so determined, confident, and conscious that she wrote to her sister about trying to become, quote, the first of a new genus, unquote. And she became a translator and also a reviewer of novels, poetry, travelogues, educational works, collected sermons, biographies, natural histories, and essays and treatises on subjects such as Shakespeare, happiness, theology, music, architecture, etc., etc. And her intellectual universe expanded during this time due to her readings, as also due to the elite company she kept.